Well, good morning. And there are two issues this morning that are dominating the news. And one is, of course, is just how hot it is, and that how careful we need to be in looking after ourselves. And the other issue is that a terrorist, the prison exercise yard after its closure, that was one of our crumbling prisons, let alone our crumbling schools, but that a terrorist prisoner managed to get out of prison, and the outrage that is is being expressed as a result of this is just beyond words. You'd think that, in fact, that the entire country had been taken over by a foreign army. Out of Wandsworth Prison, and apparently under the floor, the underpart of a food van of some sort. Is it the escape of a former soldier who is facing terrorism and spying charges from a London prison dominates the front pages of Thursday's newspapers? By golly, it does. The Sun, the Times, the Daily Mail, the Independent, and the Daily Telegraph all run with a splash on the terror suspect accused of spying for Iran, who escaped Wandsworth prison by strapping himself under a delivery van. Oh dear, I've got the hiccups. There we are. We should be able to get rid of that. And there we are, in full colour. Is the hat is still blue, the pink, the cheeks are still pink, and here we go from the White Hart Hotel, Mirador Television, with a look for this first hour at the news headlines. Whoop-de-doo. And indeed, it is the front page is about the former prisoner escaping. Heads will roll, etc., of course. But essentially, the prisoner escaped from prison. He hang on, I'm just scrolling up. He's dressed as a chef, and after serving, as the Sun puts it, lags breakfast, the terror suspect breaks out of prison clinging to the underside of a van. It all goes on. The Thursday's Times, terror suspect escapes a prison. And on the Mail, terrorist suspect flees jail strapped under a delivery van. But above that is their combined age is 235. The Rolling Stones' new album launched out of the rock world. How's it gonna do? Well, let's see the Daily Telegraph. A terror suspect escapes jail under lorry. It's very rare that the newspapers' headlines all agree with what is most important story, but they do this morning. The front page of the Daily Express tells of Rishi Sunak's plan to trumpet Britain's Brexit successes at the G20 summit, with the Prime Minister gearing up to make the UK the best place in the world to do business. Aye, well, there we are. Well, there are other things going on, and because we're now doing an hour, we've got time to consider some of these things. Prison is a funny place. I mean, I've had a lot to do with criminals. I've only ever been into one prison. Don't want to go back again. Certainly, I wouldn't want to go as an inmate. But they are They're daunting places. And I think that if some criminals knew what they were in for when they're caught and they're banged up, is they wouldn't be as keen to commit crimes as they seem to be right now. But there we are, there we are. So let's look at some of the other things that are going on, since there's only one major story here. Japan has launched a moon sniper mission. It blasted off a Thursday, today, as the country's space program looks to bounce back from a string of recent mishaps. Weeks after India's historic lunar triumph, India last month landed a craft near the moon's south pole, a historic triumph for its low-cost space operation. More than 1 in 10 women across the UK have faced online violence, survey suggests. Online violence can include trolling, threats, abuse, unwanted sexual remarks, and non-consensual sharing of intimate photos and messages. Well, they certainly sort of lengthen the terms of reference there, so you can't miss much, can you? The Herald in Scotland reports that Nicola Sturgeon is to speak at Holyrood for the first time since her resignation. She'll give her first speech at Holyrood today since stepping down as First Minister. And that is going to be broadcast live on some television stations. The Spanish authorities search for missing people as a storm recovery begins. Searches were underway for 2 missing people in the Madrid area towns of Villamanta and Aldea del Fresno. Emergency service said today that cleanup efforts continue after severe storms. Let's see. This is from the PA, not necessarily a newspaper. Starbucks cheers good progress in plan for 100 new UK shops. The chain said it has also maintained strong double-digit growth in the UK in recent months, despite pressure on consumer spending. Harry to attend a charity awards ceremony on his UK return. The Duke of Sussex withdrew from last year's Wellchild Awards due to the death of Her Majesty, Queen Elizabeth II. Broadband outages hit more than 20 million people in the last year, a study has found. The Telegraph, the first Sea Lord, says diversity targets in military make him nervous. The head of the Navy has said that the military's own diversity targets can lead to some strange behaviors. Oh dear. The Evening Standard. Suarez, and I'm sorry, but I don't know how to pronounce that word, Ronan, has described her portrayal of Lady Macbeth at London's Almeida Theatre in 2021 as the most difficult thing she'd ever done. The Irish actress, 29, was starring in the revival of The Tragedy of Macbeth opposite James McArdle. The production, which was directed by Yeb El Faber, was dare we go any further? No. All right, okay. Opened its doors in October 2021 during the tail end of the pandemic. Okay. Oh, now that's taking us back to another page. This online news, no wonder newspapers and so on aren't finding it easy. They've got it into such a mess. They've got to clean up their act. Whatever you can click on and get front pages from August the 17th. which look as if they are today's. It's just crazy. It's just absolutely crazy. Well, we are absolutely crazy as well. He's looking at this. But what we need to do now, I think, is find out exactly what the weather is going to be, and we can go to let's see. Never mind the weather, as long as we're together. I'm off to see the Wild West show. Here we go. Well, it's going to be a little cooler today. It's only going to be 27 instead of the 29 that it was yesterday. And as usual, it's around 2 o'clock, 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock today. Quite an extended period when it's going to hit 27 degrees. There's absolutely no chance whatsoever of rain, none whatsoever, unless there is a dramatic turnaround. And the wind, the breeze, is going to be very light. It's 6 miles an hour, I guess, dropping to late afternoon to 3, and no more than 2 overnight. It's going to be a clear night overnight, and it's going to remain around 20. It's only dropping tomorrow morning to 17. So we are very much into the let's see. That shouldn't be there. There we go. There we go. I'm back. Is after all my great preparation of the last 2 weeks, 3 weeks, is we're still managing to make plenty of cock-ups. Let us say we continue to apologise that in some of our video clips the picture is not all that it should be, but at long last, and I've said this many times before, long last, as of tomorrow, we should be able to get this right, and that from here on in, let me put it this way: technology is going to let us down very badly if the picture is bad from here on in. Now, let us see if there's anything going on locally that we should pay attention to. No, it doesn't look as if there is a great deal. Oh dear. Here we go. Here we go. We keep on getting it wrong. I just want to make sure that I'm still with you. And it's just not that I can say, except that, would you know it, that when I'm on my own this morning, and the delightful Bethany who has another job, by the way, but is very enthusiastic about joining Mirador, is working this morning, so I don't have her to bounce off. And as a consequence, when it's a light news day, and it is light in the sense that the main story is of the prisoner escaping, and that doesn't help us. And even then, the BBC manages to cock up its website so that it's showing yesterday's papers instead of today. I personally have waged a vendetta against too much reliance upon computers and to online activity. It's not wrong. And indeed, unless we had a computer know-how, we wouldn't be sitting talking here to you today. But it's become over-reliance everybody swears by it, and the system breaks down quite regularly or gets it wrong. And we've got to actually get into the conscious, and particularly of executives who seem to think that they can press a button and everything will be all right, and they go away and play golf. Yeah, I once played golf. Yeah, it's not a bad game. The only thing is, it takes so bloody long. I mean, you're out of action for a good 4 hours, charging off into the countryside. No one can get hold of you unless they send somebody out from the clubhouse, and even then they better have a gin and tonic to be welcomed. Anyway, we God cracking. It's now 19 minutes past 8. It is the 7th day of September in the year 2023, and well, I don't know that we've got much more news than we've got, if you understand, and not a very satisfactory way of talking about things. But we should really perhaps be able to bring you up on what's happening at Mirador. Mirador, of course, is a quite small operation. It punches well above its weight. It actually dispenses news, both national and local, around the world, which, to say for something that is operating out of the White Hart Hotel, is quite something. Punching above the weight is a misnomer. We are punching well above our weight. We need people, and I find it absolutely distressing, and I suppose it's really because of social media, and one has to accept that is a force that is not going to go away. That television is going through a metamorphosis. It doesn't know where it is or what it's doing. It's got things like Netflix, and it's got streaming, and you name it. There are 20,000 different ways of watching television, and as a consequence, nobody focuses in on any particular way. So it's now down to content. And what we're struggling with in Mirador is how much should we appeal to you, the local viewer, and how much should we bring to you what's happening in the rest of the world. Now, since there is only focused news in many ways at 6 o'clock and 9 o'clock or 10 o'clock, done in the traditional way, there's not much in between. And we would hope that we might be able to fill that by being a sort of hybrid news operation, a hybrid television operation, looking at things that perhaps you wouldn't be able to see elsewhere. I got a real hiccup problem this morning. I don't know why. I got a nice cup of coffee in the morning, and I'll have a nice cup of coffee with my tea. When it's time for bed, there's a lot to be said with a nice cup of coffee. Oh yeah, well, that's bowdlerizing it, because in the halcyon days of tea is the word tea. I substituted the word coffee for tea. No, that's just a little side issue. Just a little side issue. Let's take a trip down to. Let's take a trip down to the park, just to give me a chance to gasp a breath. It is 8:22, and it is boiling out there, absolutely boiling. Anyway, let me just bring you also up to date with the people that are now populating Mirador television. We have in the next couple of weeks we'll be introducing a number of people, but yesterday and the day before we introduced Bethany Allardyce. She's only 19, but her assessment and appreciation of what's going on in our society is quite beyond her years, and she's very confident, and she will prove and grow into being a very, very good television presenter. And she is an immediate addition. We are going to have Simon, who's an Exeter University student, but who is very interested in media. And thank God there are some students still left who are interested in the production of media. Not talking about whether students are, generally speaking, pretty aware of what the hell's going on around them. But in terms of disseminating it, in other words, being a journalist, being a television presenter, that's a different kettle of fish, and not too many seem excited about it. So it's great to have Simon, because he, when he returns to Exeter University, is going to set up a little unit of Mirador television out of the university itself. And that leads us on to Dr. Mark Maybe, a man with whom I've worked in the past, and a very, very passionate about secondary education. He is going to team up with Suzanne Musho from the United States, and they're going to do an importance of not further education as much as continuing education. Further education implies more bookwork. Continuing education can cover a whole host of things, and not least of which is getting experience, getting work experience, so that you can fit into the marketplace and not be rejected almost immediately. Let's see. Liza Page will be on in a little while. Liza, who is very feisty, bangs the drum, and gets people all wound up, and she is good value for money, and looks for what she calls the New World Order to have a go at. John Henty is back. Oh, what a delight that man is. He's just simply funny, and he keeps us on our toes. And he's he's a little aged now, as John, but his humor is as quixotic as ever. And if you want to know who Max Miller is, anything about Max Miller, speak to John Henty, because he's one of the people who keeps the memory of this great comedian alive. Who else have we got? Who I missed so far? That's a pretty fair lineup, but we've got Jane Watkins in Newcastle. Sorry, not Newcastle, Hastings, and we got Harry Atherton, who is an old friend and colleague of mine of 50 years ago. Harry now is being awarded honours by the French government for helping to restore some of their chateaus and saving some of their relics. Harry is going to do a regular spot as well. So we've got a whole broad group of people adding to those, myself included, who come up on each day and try to keep you focused on what's going on. And now here are a couple of things which, will they come to pass? I have no idea, but they are now a gleam in the eye. And we kicked off. Well, we didn't kick off actually. Yesterday morning we kicked off. Yesterday morning we didn't even kick off yesterday morning. We kicked off Tuesday morning with our colleague Stephanos, who is the head, the artistic head of an opera company in New York, a very substantial opera company, but a very daring and innovative one. And he has suggested that he should write an operetta about Tom Paine. And that operetta should be performed in what you are seeing at the back of me, that in the bar at the White Hart Hotel. Now, we haven't figured out the logistics at all, but it's one of those gleams in our eye that we hope that before the end of the year that we can bring to you, or at least we can bring positive news about the planning. Because first of all, writing an operetta is it's not that easy. You don't just sit down and sort of say, "Oh, well, I'll write an operetta today." You first of all, you got to do like anything. You've got to research the facts about the topic of the operetta. But anyway, Stephanos is game to write a little operetta, an operetta being a small opera for this front bar at the White Hart Hotel. And if that happens, boy, will that be worth taking a look at. I can see we'll have overflowing tickets. And secondly, something that's been my dream for quite a number of years, and it's possible that at least we're approaching the authorities to restage the trial of Tom Paine. Tom Paine, of course, was a pretty contentious cookie. Basically, he was concerned with the rights of man, and there's a pub in Lewis named The Rights of Man, which is named after his treatise. And he essentially says in it, bollocks to the king, nobody should have that sort of supreme power, and let's make sure that we get some decent input into governance by people. Well, good thinking that in so doing, of course, you ruffle a few feathers, and he ruffled the king's feathers. Way back then, it was William the Fourth who sowed his wild oats in Lewis as Prince Regent, and Tom went up against him and was charged with treason. "I'll fight it," he said. But his friends realized how the odds were stocked in those days because the king would not brook any suggestion of his dilution of absolute power. And so it was get Tom Paine. And because it was the king involved, his advisor said, "You're not going to beat this, sunshine. Is make sure that you look to your backside and you get out of the UK because you'll be found guilty." And the sentence for a guilty crime in those days was be hung, drawn, and quartered. Well, and to be done so semi-alive. And now I don't know whether you can imagine the huge pain that would accrue to a prisoner if he was hung, drawn, and quartered. So our Tom eventually buggered off back to the United States, which he named, by the way, according to Bill Bryson. And I'm a great believer in everything that Bryson says. So Tom Paine named the United States. It is that he was to be tried, and his defense was drawn up. And my belief is it will be interesting to see him tried according to the defense that had been, was realized for him way back then. And because our attitudes have changed, to see whether, in fact, he would have been found guilty or not. So that's the second major project that we've got going. Got all sorts of other little bits and pieces in between. We're not just a straight in-your-face television station. We do innovative things. We say that it's an innovative. What basically people say is that they are crazy. They're crackers. Why would anybody do something like that? Well, we do, and we welcome you, invite you to appear on Mirador if you wish. All you got to do is to walk in at that White Hart Hotel any time between 8 and 11 on any weekday, and you'll be right on the verge of fame and fortune by going on telly. Right, okay. I think what we'll do is we will see whether we can find another little sting. Let's go to this one. Ha! There we go. That's who we are. It is now 8:36. The temperature, I can't tell you for the moment, but it's going to be another blistering day. So do be careful out there. There's something here that actually crossed my nose, and I thought, yes, we should have one of those people that have just joined us on to give their viewpoint of what's happening in society and what we should be doing about it. That'll bring up some radical thoughts. Of course, the one thing that civil servants are famous for is they ask for comment, and when you give the comment, they say, no, you can't have that. No, you can't have that. Even though when you are talking through your comments with your pals, you seem as if you're making a good common sense. Right, let's just go back to the front pages. Now, so what do the papers saying? Tuesday's papers, even though it's Thursday. That's the big problem when you get things that are change. When change takes place, it always takes a little while for them to settle in, and that's what's happening at the moment. Is we're not quite certain where we're going, I guess. Let's see if there's another. What the papers say. Tuesdays, no, we don't want that. But there is a top stories, and what the papers say for Tuesday. What we want is we want an analysis for Thursday, and the big problem is that when change takes place, is you have to be very careful about what you say. So dashing off at the mouth about changes in our society and who should do what isn't necessarily, well, it's an option, but it's not a good option. So that's where we are with the new what the papers say. Now it's all old news, and we wouldn't want to give you that because it's so easy to take it as fact. Do be careful when you actually look online. This business of speed and delivering speed is sometimes upsets the apple cart. We'll come back to you in a minute or two, and we'll carry on our normal debate as and when people arrive. And that way we'll fill an hour. That it seemed. My gosh, that's not very long, is it? But I'm afraid that it's turning out to be a marathon this morning. In fact, what we're going to do is we're going to take a little break, and we'll be back at 9 o'clock, and hopefully with a whiz bang, let's go type bulletin. All right. Um, as long as I remember how to switch it off, which is the key thing, and I can't even do that. So I'm going to take a little trip down to. So here I am, and that is a little visit to the park, Southover Grange Park, which is just a beautiful, beautiful backwater where you can forget the cares of the world for a minute or two and relax and enjoy. Right, as I said, we're going to sort of end this part of the morning. It's 8:42. We'll be back at 9 o'clock, and I hope that you'll join us then. Certainly join us at 10 o'clock. Eliza Page. No, well, she's yes at 10 o'clock, or not long after, because when she's tub thumping, she's good value for money. All right. Let's say goodbye and goodbye and farewell, just for a very short period of time, very short period of space, and we'll go in reverse order on the way to shut down. So there we are. See you in a little while.